Just an update review on second ride of the CB1000R Neo Calf Racer. Like when I do any review, I'm not going to go into the spec, the torque per pound and this, that, the other. There's plenty of those online, and to be honest, I really don't give a shit about all that. It's 147 brake, that's all you need to know. As far as everything else is concerned, I just don't care. Right, I bought this again, like I say in my other review, just on a bit of a whim. I just thought, well, I quite like the look of it, so I'll see how it goes. Now, yesterday I went out and did 200 miles on it. My second ride. My first review was only on 70 miles. I got back, I've just taken off the number plate holder and I've put a J-Tech tail tidy on. Easy to do, takes a couple of hours, but it's easy to do. But I do generally just think the bike looks so much better without it. I've got an SC Project exhaust coming tomorrow and some short levers. I added some EvoTech brake guards. I'm going to take that stupid mudguard thing off. Yeah, so right, oh yeah, and obviously I added one of those. I've got to give the bike a good clean now. I got back too late after fitting that yesterday. Right, really enjoying the bike. It rides a lot better than it looks. I know these are Marmite, you either love them or hate them. It's growing on me. Now I've got that number plate thing off, I'm starting to go, yeah, I like the style of it now. When I get the exhaust on it, mind you, I will say, yes, I've bought an exhaust for this, the SP Project exhaust, so it should look really nice. But I'll be honest, I did 200 miles on that yesterday, and that exhaust sounded lovely. It may not sound great when it's just idling, and you're revving it just on the stand like that. But when I was riding it, it sounded beefy and nice. So I would have no complaints keeping that exhaust on this bike, which is unusual. For most bikes, I always say, yeah, get them off, get them changed. But I would have no complaint keeping that on there. And to be fair, I think it looks all right on the bike. So, yes, I'm going to put the SP Project exhaust on it, but I'll see how that goes. I'll quite happily put that back on. It sounds nice. I've got no problem with that exhaust. Right, the ride of the bike, absolutely brilliant. It is growing on me. In the last 200 miles yesterday, it flicks into corners beautifully. The front end is so light, it is unreal. Really did enjoy the ride yesterday. As the miles went on and you get more used to it, yeah, really did enjoy it. The brakes are superb. The gear changes like butter. Yeah, I was surprised. My Kawasaki Z1000 that I just sold, the 2015 naked version, I thought was a great bike. This rides better, in my opinion. This actually rides better in the sense, everything's so easy. In the sense some bikes you'll understand, you've got to ride them. You don't want to take your eyes off you've got to ride them. This, being a Honda as usual, it'll do everything itself. Just point the bloody thing. I had it yesterday for probably about 80 miles, 100 miles. I had it on user mode, which I had full power, full traction control, and number 2 on the engine braking. Now, it's lovely and smooth. If you know how to ride a bike, you know how to ride a bike. It isn't jerky. That's poor throttle control yourself. You feather it on, feather it off, even at speeds, changing gear. As long as you know it's fine. Absolutely fine. What I did find a couple of times, going around a couple of real sort of nice sweepy bends and so on, which then tightened up and switched over, if you laid your throttle off slightly and then you put it back on, and now I'm good with my throttle, and you put it back on, you did get just a little jerk. No big deal at all. But you could just feel it when you go around the bend. If you just laid the throttle on and off a bit, you could just feel it. So what I did was, after 100 miles, I thought, I'll try standard mode again, because I could feel the difference. So I put it onto standard mode, which is 2 traction, 2 power, 2 engine braking. And it was fine. Absolutely perfect. And in the end, I just kept it like that. It was absolutely fine. It would still go straight to 100, 110, no problems at all. So I've been told. But yeah, there was no real lack of power. Not enough where I'd go, I take the slight jerkiness over the standard mode. Standard mode was fine. So in the end, I drove the last 100 miles at standard mode and really, really did enjoy it. I'm just trying to think of anything really. Again, the only thing I can really complain about on this bike, and it is dangerous, and I think I'm actually just going to tape them off unless I can see an auto electrician. These running lights, they're dangerous. I don't care what no one says. I've done a rant video on it. They're fucking dangerous. You know, maybe they're all right in other countries that are used to running lights, but over here, it just looks like you've got your indicators on, and yes, they're not flashing, but they're permanently on, and it's just not safe. I say it again, I cannot believe somebody at Honda thought, do you know what, we'll leave the indicators on. It must be the most thickest, stupidest thing I've ever known to be done on a motorbike. It's beyond belief. So I'm that nervous on it. You know, I'm riding down 60 roads. I've got cars waiting to pull out because up here it's all country, 60 mile an hour roads. You're coming down, you can see a car's waiting to pull out and you're shitting yourself because, you know, have they just glanced and seen that my indicator's on and look back and I'm going to pull out? I mean, it really is disconcerting. That's my only grief on this bike. And I'm generally thinking of taping that off. I'm honestly believing of taping that off. Rear indicators, that's what people need to see when I'm indicating. You know, people in front of me, I couldn't give a fuck about. You know, so that's not so bad. And I can always put my hand out. I will go and see my local mechanics because I'm not up on electrics. I'm not too bad, but I'm not great. I'll ask them, is there a way of disconnecting the permanent live so I can just have the indicators off? I'm not sure how that'll work. I don't want to cut any wires, so I'll just have to see. But yeah, it's not good. But other than that, the bike rides beautifully. It's light compared to my Z1000, which I didn't think was overly. It's heavy, my Z1000. Don't get me wrong, it's heavy. And you knew when you were moving it about, it was heavy. But when riding it, it was absolutely like any other bike. But this, honestly, it's like moving around me. I think it's actually easier to move around than my Street Triple R. And the Street Triple R, I think, is lighter than, well, it will be lighter than this. So my Street Triple R is lighter than this, my 2012. But this is so easy to move about, which is what I love. There's nothing worse than, you know, I'm getting on a bit now, I'm 58. There's nothing worse than pulling up at a junction or a slight camber somewhere and you go to put your foot down and you feel the weight of the bike going. You know, it's a bit disconcerting. I had that on the Z a couple of times, just where I misfooted. Going over Applecross where the roads are really on a camber and you've got to stop for oncoming cars. And it almost ruins the ride because you're conscious of it and you think, oh, shit. And I've been riding 42 years, so don't bother me. But, yeah, a couple of times on the Z, it caught me out a couple of times. But this, you could move it on a sixpence. It feels so light, which is great. And the steering is light. It is honestly a lovely, lovely bike. I was surprised. I didn't know whether I would like it as much because this is the first bike I've had with riding modes and fly-by-wire throttle. Because as you'll see from my other videos, I fucking hate all that shit. I just like normal bikes. You know, if I want to adjust my throttle, I will. I don't like all this computer stuff. I really don't. It doesn't interest me. But if I wanted a newer bike, you have no choice now. So I went for this one. This is my first one with the modes and all the rest of it. What's really good about this is you can change the modes while riding, which is absolutely brilliant. And again, as I say, on this one, the clocks on these are brilliant. My last video, I said, oh, they were a little bit dim, the clocks. But you can go in and change the brightness. So all you do is, on these, hold the mode and hold the select. Push those in, and then it comes up as adjust. And then you can go and adjust. So you've got auto, which mine was on. which, I don't know, when sun comes in certain angles, it dims it down or whatever, I don't know. But it went dim in places, which I didn't like. And it goes auto, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I've got it on 6 or 7 at the minute, 6. And it's brilliant. Full brightness. I had no problem yesterday in the sun. It's great. So I'm leaving mine on 6. Perfect. You can see everything, which is great on it. You can see what mode you're in. You can see your mileage. You can see your trip. You can see your temperature. You've got the time. But you can see it all. You haven't got to press any buttons to go to it. Like on my Z, you can only see one or the other. This, you've got everything. Absolutely everything. Your gear indicator, the lot. Brilliant. Yeah, I honestly think it is an absolute cracking bike. I'm surprised at how much I like it. Now I've got the mudguard off, the number plate holder off, I'm liking it more. I didn't really like it with that on it. I was umming and ahhing, and because it's such a pain to take that off, I mean, it took me about 3 hours yesterday, because you've got to get in, you've got to rerun the wires, put new wires in. Don't get me wrong, if you're competent, not a problem. But if you're not competent, yeah, maybe not. But it is easy enough. So I did that, but yeah, it looks so much better. I think it's so much better now. And yeah, I can live with that now. I'm going to get a seat cowl for it. I'll get an OEM seat cowl. I think that bike with the OEM seat cowl, mini levers, SP Project exhaust, and I've got the tank pads to come on the side that say CB on it, which I've seen on another bike on a picture. They look really good. So I think that will sporting it up, but keeping that unique look, which is what I like. Suspension, I set, same as I said on the other review, before I'd even took it out on its first ride, I set the suspension to an 85 rider, according to some sheet that's online. You'll find it. I'm a 92, probably 98 with me clothes, with all my gear on, but I didn't want to go because it's right at the max. So I've set it on an 85 rider, and to be honest, I find that absolutely fine for me. I will probably get a Nitron shock for this, and I know that will just absolutely transform this bike completely. I put them on all my bikes. I've just took the one off my Z, which was only on for one ride, because then I sold the bike. So when that sells, I will then add a bit of extra money, and I'll probably buy one for this. But yeah, great bike. I would highly recommend it. I'm like I say, this review isn't about people riding it going, wee, look how fast it goes, wee, look how, you know, the brakes on it. There's no need for all that. I think this is just a review of someone who's bought the bike. I went out yesterday, done 200 miles, and it was nice. I really enjoyed it. I was in the saddle, I think 6 hours, because it's all country roads, maybe a bit long. Yeah, maybe 5, 6 hours I was in the saddle, and seats comfortable, no problems at all. No problems at all. And what I'll do is, what day today? Thursday. Well, next week, when we get a nice clear day, or maybe even the weekend, I will be going out and doing 350 mile on it. I'm going to go and do Applecross. I've got no problem on this. So yeah, marks out of 10. What would I give this bike for ride and brakes? I've got to give it a 9 out of 10 for ride, for the throttles, the smoothness, the gear change, absolutely beautiful. The brakes, brilliant, beautiful. I've got no problem with any of that at all. That is, yeah, stunning, gorgeous, not a problem. Fueling's good, no problem at all in that. It tells you what miles you get. I did yesterday, I think I did about 120 before I even bothered filling up, and I still had 2 bars left. So you'll probably get 140 out of a tank, which is about average, so it's not too bad. The only thing I can fault, honestly, on the whole bike is the running lights at the front. That is my only niggle with the bike. Other than that, other than those lights on the front, I'd pretty much give the bike a 9 out of 10. You know, if it didn't have those lights problems, if it didn't have the running lights on the front, I'd give it a 10 out of 10, because I've got no problem with the bike. It rides superb, it's smooth, it handles on the corners, it flicks in, it'll go straight to 110, 120 in a heartbeat. I think 100 and so I've been told. I think at 100 mile an hour, it was sitting at 6,500, 7,000 revs. So I've been told. Not that I would ever do that. But yeah, it goes, you can plod along in at 30 mile an hour in sixth gear, it'll plod along, it don't matter. And then you can just drop a gear, open it up, and off it goes. And it goes quick.